Welcome, everyone. Bienvenidos a todos. My name is Baker Perry, and the title of my talk today is Elevating Meteorological Understanding on Everest, Installing the Highest Weather Stations on Earth. I would like to acknowledge my co-authors, Tom Matthews, Aurora Elmore, Tyler Abernathy, Deepak Aryal, Debas Shrestha, Arbindra Kadka, and the rest of our National Geographic and Rolex Perpetual Planet Extreme Expedition to Mount Everest team. The world's supply of fresh water is in trouble as mountain ice vanishes. We know that these high water towers provide a huge percentage of global fresh water, but climate change and geopolitical stresses endanger their existence. And this is an image that our team took from after installing the highest weather station in the world on Mount Everest, looking towards Lhotse. Now, a bit more context, even though these water towers are in extreme danger, there's a data desert. We have so few meteorological observations from the highest elevations. And the data from the glacialized altitudes particularly are lacking in high mountain Asia, in the Hindu Kush, Karakoram, the Himalayan region, and there's almost nothing from the glacier accumulation areas where these water towers begin. And the lack of basic meteorological observations challenge our understanding of how sensitive glaciers may be to climate change. So this was a major motivation in our team's effort to install a network of weather stations on Mount Everest in 2019. We established 5 stations, the lowest at Fort Say, 3,810 meters, one at Everest Base Camp, another at Camp 2, a 4th at the South Col, and a 5th at the balcony at 8,430 meters. And I've got a very short video that highlights some of the challenges we faced in the installation and provides a bit more background on the expedition.
Everest is one of the most extreme environments on the planet. And nobody has ever fully quantified the climate conditions up there. We're going to be pushing the envelope, attempting to install the highest weather station in the world to improve our understanding of weather patterns and climate change in the Mount Everest region. These high mountain regions are changing faster than other places around the world. The highest elevations are actually believed to be warming at faster rates than other lower elevation regions. My major role in this expedition is to install a network of weather stations, including what we hope to be the highest weather station in the world.
We're here installing the lowest of our network of weather stations. Firstly, to transmit the data, we require quite a lot of power. If the system doesn't have enough power, it will refuse to transmit data. That would mean we couldn't see what was going on in real time, which is what we really want. We want to know in real time what's going on the mountain. The weather station sees a whole year's worth of weather possibilities, measuring the wind speed, thermal radiation, temperature, humidity, and precipitation. We can use machine learning to provide a totally different approach to how you can forecast weather. We are filling in gaps in how the climate is changing.
There are multiple stations going up, including one at Fort Say, one station at Base Camp, one in Camp 2, another at the South Col, and then we will attempt to install one above 8,000 meters.
Let's face it, climbing Everest is still a very difficult thing to do. It takes years of time developing the skills, the confidence, the ability to deal with a constantly changing mountain environment, to deal with the cold, to deal with the high altitude, and you can't fake it.
Pretty snug, but not so snug that I'm pushing really hard against my face.
Okay. And then just set the reducer right on top, and then you're going to be spinning the bottle counterclockwise.
This morning we have installed what we call the base camp rover. It's critical to have a station here on the glacier to be able to observe and to measure the meteorological processes. We've got electronics that need to operate at extreme temperatures, exceptionally high wind speeds. Having instruments that can work in those sorts of environments has been a big challenge.
And that plane's good, so yeah, tighten everything. You say? Can you orient this out? Yes. Good man.
There's a reason that some of this has never been done before. Logistically, it's exceptionally challenging. It's physically demanding in and of itself just to climb and function up at 8,000 meters. To try to do science up at some of these elevations is an added challenge. I think people are feeling as good as we can at this stage of the expedition, and we're excited to move up to Camp 2.
As a scientist, we're used to having to be patient with things, and this expedition has been no different. It's been nothing but eat, sleep, think Everest for the last 9 months.
Camp 2 station is in.
This environment is uncontrollable. It's hostile. It doesn't care whether we're successful on our expedition, and we have to be prepared to deal with that as best as possible.
It's about 10:45 p.m. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a bit nervous. I am. I know how big the challenge is ahead, and I feel very confident in our team.
We know that we may be limited by the weather, so we're going to try and get up there just as the sun is rising when the winds are lowest. We have maximum for Oxford about 3 hours to install the station. We need to be efficient and work as a team.
Here's the balcony. In front of my house, I'm not getting enough air in. I have to lift my mask like this. Putting with the batteries. Too close to work. Yeah, we fan it, the batteries fan it, so I just have to wait.
I'm a bit worried that we won't be able to think clearly. We may make a mistake that means we leave those stations in a position that's suboptimal, that they're not transmitting.
And we try to warm up the down jackets and stuff like the armpits. The sun's about to come up, we can help a bit too.
My fear is I won't know my limitation, that all their efforts for nothing. It's about being resilient in the face of a mountain that really doesn't care about you.
Temperature? Yeah, it's good. No other wind.
It's a rare opportunity to come here and do a scientific expedition like this.
This is the highest weather station in the world.
That gives us information to plan for future scenarios of climate change.
That's pitching now to Washington, D.C. That could be the highest that's been installed. The balcony, Everest. Thanks to Tom and all the super colleagues. Doing such a great job.
Okay, so you could certainly see that we had our share of challenges on the mountain, and I next want to share some of the highlights from the expedition, from the results so far, and some of the early benefits of the weather station network include tracking the progression of 2 melt seasons, and the radiation data and temperature data clearly indicate that melt is occurring at extreme elevations above 8,000 meters and may actually be occurring on the highest peaks in the Himalaya, including the summit of Everest. We also have reconstructed the estimated minimum temperature at the summit, which is -47 degrees Celsius based on our measurements from the balcony about 400 meters below, and a maximum wind chill of -76.6 degrees Celsius. And our lower stations, which were not featured as prominently in the video, are providing critical data with respect to precipitation. And both of these have weighing precipitation gauges in double altar shields that minimize wind effects on precipitation, which are especially important when solid precipitation is occurring. And the Everest Base Camp station overlooks the Khumbu Glacier. And also you can see the summit of Mount Everest there in the background. And the Fortsey station is about 10 kilometers down valley from the Khumbu Glacier. And these 2 stations in particular have allowed us to look more carefully at the precipitation patterns. These are observations from Base Camp, which began in October 2019. You can see that we had continuous but shallow snow cover from mid-December to mid-February. We had heavy precipitation, mainly snow in association with the remnants of Tropical Cyclone Nisarga from the 4th to the 6th of June 2020. 450 millimeters of total precipitation in the monsoon. This is June, July, August, and September. The bulk of that falling is rain, but with temperatures only about 2.5 degrees Celsius. So just barely above freezing during the monsoon. 70% of the Fortsey monsoon precipitation was measured at Base Camp, so a reduction with the increase in elevation. We've also run back trajectories, and they have revealed strong seasonal dependence in the moisture source regions, with the monsoon trajectories coming primarily from the northern Bay of Bengal, the Indo-Gangetic Plain, and portions of the Arabian Sea. As we move into the post-monsoon season in October and November, we can see a stronger westerly influence and with precipitation events. And then during the winter, again, more of a southwest to westerly trajectories. And then for the pre-monsoon in the month of March, we see, again, a stronger connection to the Arabian Sea. And so the Bay of Bengal really shuts off during the non-monsoon seasons from what we have observed so far. So some conclusions and outlook. The weather stations have already given valuable insight into the weather and hydroclimatic processes on the roof of the world. Analysis is ongoing, specifically looking at precipitation events in the vertical structure and continued the moisture source regions. The weather at the limits of human endurance. Do conditions in winter storms actually exceed the limits of human physiology? We encourage everyone to follow the real-time conditions. They're on Twitter at EverWeather, and there's also available on the National Geographic website at the link below. So thank you very much for your time. I want to acknowledge in particular our Sherpa high altitude climbing team that were just absolutely phenomenal. And none of these stations could have been installed without the excellent work that they provided. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias a todos.